And for those who come here for the first time, this is a community that will hold meetups every Friday. And if you are not convenient in the time slot or if you are comfortable with the time slot, feel free to use this tablet to tell us your preference time slot. And I will pass the tablet from here. Okay, and for those who are interested in what kind of organization we are an organization that promotes open data, open culture, and open innovation. And that's why we are holding some technical talk every week. And this week we are honored to invite Carson Ip, my classmate, a year 3 computer science student that is proficient in web programming. And he has previously worked in ITSC and NetDragon in previous summer semester. And he is also the curator of Open Innovation Lab. So, and the speaker of previous workshop of Yeoman, Grunt, and Gap. So if you have any question, feel free to ask him afterwards. And that's Carson if kickstart the workshop.
Okay, thank you, Ionic. So today our topic is hands-on HTML5 hybrid mobile app with Ionic. So this will be we will know how to create hybrid mobile apps after this workshop, hopefully. So this will be a brief introduction to the Ionic. So what problem do we have now? So we want to start writing a mobile app for Android or an iOS. So maybe you want it for a particular platform or you want it for both platforms. So what will we do usually? Usually there are two solutions. One of it is write it natively. So in Android we write it in Java, in iOS we write it in Swift or Objective-C. So it gives us better performance and native and flexible UI. So here by flexible we mean that it can do whatever you want in that particular language or that operating system. So hybrid here, hybrid means cross-platform. So you write once and run it on several platforms like Android and iOS. So by writing once, we can have faster development, and also usually hybrid apps we use HTML, so it is based on web technologies. So for those who are already familiar with web-based technology, it will be easier for you to start writing an app instead of learning 2 new languages. So there are also some alternatives such as Accelerator Titanium, which you will write application in JavaScript and then it can run on different platforms. Also for Qt you write it in C++. Xamarin you write in C#. So for those who are familiar with C#, you can try Xamarin. It is also a very famous one. So talking about HTML, there are several platforms or libraries that help us develop mobile apps with HTML web-based technologies. For example, jQuery Mobile, and today we're talking about Ionic. So you'll work with some combinations of the technologies, such as for jQuery Mobile, it only creates a web page, but with Cordova, it wraps that web page into an app. For example, APK for Android. So I've worked with jQuery Mobile for a while. That's why I like Ionic more, because jQuery Mobile is its layout is not it's I don't want to say ugly, but I can't find another vocabulary now. So what's the trend? So in iOS 8, there's a new WK web view which has a 300% performance boost. So, which means that if we write an app in HTML and wrap it into an app, it will use this iOS 8 WK web view, and we can enjoy that performance boost. So also in Android 5.0, because in the past, when we use Cordova to wrap HTML and JavaScript into an APK, its performance is bounded to the web view in the system. So if the system is Android 2.3 or Android 4.0, it's quite old, and the browser, the web view inside the system is not up to date, then some of the function calls may fail. So in Android 5.0, the web view will come with an independent update, so it will not be bounded to the system anymore. You can update the web view in Google Play, for example. So what's Ionic? Why do we want Ionic after there's so many alternatives? So Ionic here, you can see the website, and it is based on AngularJS and Cordova. So we'll talk about the two of them later. We can check out the website first. So here it mentions the advantage of using Ionic and the technologies. So we can see the latest version of Ionic. I only checked it today. So it's 1.1.1 and its release date is yesterday. So it is obvious that this is under active development. It's not outdated, of course. So why do we choose Ionic? Ionic is based on AngularJS and Cordova. Both of them are very their community are very large, and AngularJS and Cordova we'll talk about later. The community of Ionic itself is also large. The performance is good. We'll talk about it later. So as the UI, and it is a stable release now. So it's not alpha, it's not beta. In 2015 May, it already had the first stable release. So what's AngularJS? AngularJS is a web application framework. It simplifies development and testing, provides MVW architecture. MVW is model view, whatever. So it provides an architecture that helps you to scale your app easily, and it's just you don't have to do DOM manipulation yourself usually with AngularJS, so it's easy to work with. It boosts your productivity. So what's Cordova? Cordova wraps your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript into an app. So actually, what Cordova does for you is that when you have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, it just package it into an app, and then it will be shown using the system's internal browser. So it also provides plugins to access native device API, for example, accelerometer, camera, and battery information. So with Cordova plugins, you can do most of the things you want. So I've talked about Cordova like 1 year ago here, and it has evolved a lot since then. So we've talked about the community of Ionic is large. Why do we say so? Ionic is itself an open source project. It has 20,000 stars on GitHub, and you can see there's so many threads on Stack Overflow here. So it's the community is active compared to other frameworks such as jQuery mobiles. So we can have a check here. Ionic. So it's 154 this week and 108 this week, so it adds up to more than 200 questions this week. And for jQuery mobile, although the total count is larger, but it's not as active as Ionic because it's the performance is not as good as Ionic, and it is based on jQuery. So if you want some architecture, you may need to combine it with Backbone.js, but with Ionic, AngularJS already does most of the things, architecture things for you. So it's more popular now, Ionic, and the community is active, of course. So regarding performance, it provides hardware accelerated animations. So also native scrolling, and it has minimal DOM manipulation, so it will be faster than jQuery. Here also it says 0 jQuery. So it's just fast. You can notice it later. So how does it all come together? This is copied from one slide from Ionic. It's your app based on Ionic, and then Ionic is based on AngularJS. AngularJS access the native APIs using Cordova. So it is a stack like this. So you will be only working on your app. So Angular does everything else for you. So let's get our hands dirty and start working on it. So for those who haven't connected to the Wi-Fi, please connect to the Wi-Fi now. So what we need is Node.js and npm. So please install Node.js and npm. You can find the instructions here. You can click it, and you can download it. So please set up Node.js. So because Ionic is in npm, so you need to install Ionic through npm. So after installing Node.js and npm, you have to install Ionic. So please type npm install -g Ionic. You may need to sudo. Oh. So it may take some time for first install because Ionic includes so many things. So anyone has problem? Please raise up your hand. Anyone already have Ionic installed? Oh, great. One hand. So who has Ionic installed now? More hands? So if you have a problem, please raise up your hand so we can help. So for those who have already installed Ionic, you can see what Ionic can do for you. So Ionic help. Let me try again. Ionic help. So there's a list of commands. You can take a look at it first. So when everyone is ready, we can move on. So, anyone still installing Ionic or have problems? So I assume everyone's ready. So let's move on. So now we will create an app. So usually we do Ionic start and then your app name and then an optional template. So we will try Ionic start my app and then tab. So let's try. Ionic start my app tabs. So it will fetch some templates from GitHub. So it's done. So try to create your app. After creating it, just move into the directory, cd my app. Then Ionic serve. So what Ionic serve does for you is that it will create a local server and then serve the web page. So this is the result of what we have created. So anyone have problems? Ionic start my app tabs. So tabs is the template name. There's still other templates. Ionic start my app tabs and then move into that directory and then try Ionic serve. So your browser will pop up with the website you have created. So what is even better is that we try Ionic Serve Labs. Lab? No S seems. So this is Ionic Lab, a new feature introduced by Ionic, which can view your app in iOS and also in Android. So on the left, it is what we will see if we are using iOS. The tabs will be at the bottom. And on the right, we have Android. And the tabs will be on the top. So this follows the convention of both platforms. So there's also some differences between the views inside. So for example, on the right you can see it's a usual Android toggle button, and on the left is the iOS style. So why do I say it's native-like? It's because it will switch between styles in different platforms. On the left is what you see in iOS native app. On the right is what you see in Android native apps. So it's just you can't distinguish between native and Ionic and app created by Ionic at the first glance. So you can just play around with it first. So this is the template of tabs. So that's also another template called side menu. So if you want to try, just Ionic start side. We call the project side and then side menu. So it will create from the template side menu. So this is the app created from template side menu. It's not as beautiful as the tabs one. Oh, login page. So you may want to start from this one because of the side menu, or you can just copy the code from this one, move it elsewhere. So here we have explored two templates. So what if we want to push it onto an Android device? It's easy. It's just like what we'll do in Cordova. But you can't do this now if you don't have the Android SDK installed. So I'll demonstrate it. So here is my Android. Go back to the app we've created. We'll type Ionic platform add and then the platform. So in this case Android. Ionic platform and Android. So it's ready. It will install some. Here we see installing Cordova plugin, whatever. This is the Cordova plugins, which will provide us access to the native APIs. So after adding the platform, when we want to run it in our Android, we'll type Ionic run Android. So it will then push it to your device. So it may take some time. So after you have installed Android SDK and stuff, you can try to push it to your Android device. So it's just that easy. Just Ionic platform add Android and then Ionic run Android. So it will take some time to install. So done. So this is the result. It's just what you'll see in the Ionic Serve. So during development, maybe you don't want to push it to your device every time when you are developing. So you just use the Ionic Serve. It will do the job. So in Android, it's just in Android style. So you can't tell if it's a native or it's a hybrid app. The performance is also native-like. So another thing that's great is, let's move back to Ionic Serve Lab. Here's what we've seen before. So we'll see what it has generated for us. What's inside? So after we type Ionic start your project name and then template name, it will generate these things for you. So what you'll be touching is the www. So in this www, it's your web page here. It's the HTML, JavaScript, and also CSS. When you want to modify an app into your real app, you just modify things here. And for platforms, you'll have the app. For Android, you'll have Android project. For iOS, you'll have iOS project in this platforms folder. So in Android, it's a usual Android project folder. So you can open it with Android Studio and do some modifications. So here we'll also see Gulp file. We've talked about Gulp a few weeks ago. It's a build tool. and config.xml. So we'll see what's that. We'll open it using a text editor. Config.xml. So in this config.xml, you will want to change your app's attributes. So name of your app. This is the display name and description and this ID. So when you publish it, you want to have these attributes correct, not just an Ionic framework or a Cordova project. So you want it to be your information. And just now we're talking about the cool thing of this Ionic app. So we'll do it side by side. What's so cool is that when we modify the HTML here, the changes will reflect in the Ionic app correspondingly. So for example, we'll modify the dash page. See, here you say you ate an apple today. You also see on the left and on the right. You ate an apple today. So let's change to an orange. So when we save it, on the left we'll see the changes. So it's just like what we'll see in the last workshop about gulp, grunt and gulp. So when you modify the content, it will show the changes. So if you don't want this, function, you need to type Ionic serve no live reload. Let's check if this is the case. Ionic serve. So here, if you add the option no live reload, it will disable this feature. But when you're developing the app, this will be very useful. Another feature is that here you see URL here. So if your development computer and your mobile device is in the same network, you can type in the URL and it will show the web page in your mobile device. So I can't demonstrate it here because it's the university's Wi-Fi. So if it's the home Wi-Fi and you have your PC and also your mobile device connect to the belongs to the same network, you can just type the URL and it will show the corresponding version of the web page. For example, you can see iOS and Android in this Ionic Lab. So if you browse this site in Android, it will just show you the Android one. So you will find it useful during the development. So let's move on. So after trying how to build an app, we've missed the last one, Ionic build. It's for building an APK in a release manner. So Ionic build and then since add a flag. When you add a flag like release, it will publish it in a release manner. So next we'll talk about the Ionic platform. So this is quite new. Many things on it is not in release, is alpha, most of the things. We have Ionic Creator. So this is foolproof. Why we say foolproof? New project, hi world, based on the tabs template. When we create it, whoops. Yes, you will build the app in a drag and drop manner. Is foolproof. So even if you don't know how to write an app, you don't know JavaScript, you don't know CSS, HTML, you can create a simple app using Ionic Creator. So for example, in this camera tab, let's look into the page. Camera tab, we want a button inside. We just drag it, drop it, and then modify the text to whatever you want. Hi world. You can change the style to dark, whatever. So after doing all of these, you click export, and then when you create a project, you type Ionic start app name, and then this time it's not the template name, it's the creator. So maybe we'll try. We add more things here first. So we want a checkbox that in this tab we want text area. In the cloud tab page we want toggle. Okay, so let's try to export it. Ionic start tool. So it will download the project from the Ionic Creator. Oh, in case you don't know, you can specify the link. For example, this button, you want it linked to another page, you can do so. Okay, it's done. So let's check it out. CD Ionic See, it's all ready. So what we have drag and drop just now, it's ready. So if you don't like typing, you can just drag and drop, then modify it afterwards. So, but you can't create complicated apps with this. You can just do the simple ones, but it's still useful. So this is Ionic Creator. And another thing is Ionic View. So I've never tried this before, but it says share your Ionic app with clients and testers without going through the App Store. So you don't have to build an APK and then send it to others to test it. You can just, through this platform, you send maybe a link to them, then they can see it. So I haven't tried this before, but I think it's some good stuff. And there's still many tools, useful tools in Ionic.io. Let's see, market. There's some components that you can buy from Ionic Market. So maybe some ready-made apps or some themes, plugins. It's just something like the Unity store, SS store, maybe. So that's some starters, plugins, themes. If you find it useful, you can just buy it. This is $18. But it's ready, you see. It's beautiful. So this is Ionic Market, and there's a playground. If you don't want to open your editor, you want to do it online, you can just do it in Ionic Playground. It's something like this Swift playground. So you can edit it directly here, save, preview. Creator, we've talked about it before, just now. Shop. So more than that, in this Ionic.io platform, you can manage your apps here. It provides push notification, analytics, deployment, and you can gather the information. So it's just all-in-one platform, provide all backend services. You may find it useful, but most of them are in alpha version. So maybe not too safe to use it for commercial projects, but you can try it out. So that's others. Getting ready for production. If you have full HTML, JavaScript, and CSS for production, it's huge because in JavaScript you have so many space, new line characters, and long variable names. So you may want to minimize it and concatenate it all JavaScript into one single JavaScript file for the sake of performance and size. So we've talked about Gulp a few weeks ago. Ionic is also based on Gulp. It's used Gulp as its default build tool. You can see gulpfile.js here, but there's nothing special inside. It's just some simple task. So if you want some ready-made Gulp file, you may want to check it in Yeoman. So in Yeoman, you will find Ionic generators, which will provide you with some complete Gulp file, which will have some task for production. So in Ionic, there's some generators on Ionic. Okay. And for better performance and compatibility, we've talked about the Android problem just now. because the Android, there's so many Android versions out there, and they are bound to their internal web view. So there may be some compatibility problems where some devices does not support certain APIs. So you want Crosswalk. So Crosswalk is a project that it will also pack a Chromium inside an app. So you will not be using the system's browser. Instead, you'll use the Chromium, which comes with the APK. So you don't have to worry about the outdated devices. It will support whatever Chromium supports. But this will add like 14 to 20 megabytes to your app. So if the size is a concern, you need to think about it. There's also a Crosswalk Lite. Crosswalk Lite. There's a light version for Crosswalk. It claims that it has only half of the size, approximately half of the size of the regular Crosswalk. I haven't tried it before, but it looks great. So to add Crosswalk to your project, simply use Ionic browser and Crosswalk. So when you publish the app, it will run with Crosswalk. Ionic browser. So I type Ionic browser list, and then you can see there's Crosswalk available, Crosswalk Lite available, and then the default Android browser. So you can add Crosswalk. If you don't like it afterwards, you can just revert it to normal Android default browser. So upcoming, we will have Angular 2. Angular 2 is currently in alpha phase, so it's going to beta soon. And Ionic 2 is based on Angular 2. Angular 2 is written in JavaScript, ECMA script 6. So it's a newer version of JavaScript, basically, with better performance and better syntax. So Angular 2 will be based on it. It's a huge change, and the performance gain is huge also. So Ionic 2 will be based on Angular 2, so it will also enjoy the same performance gain, and it will support some new theming. So if you like, you can check out Ionic 2. So that's all for today. It's a question and answer session. If you have problems or questions, please just raise up your hand.